We are live. Good morning, everyone. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We have just a couple of seconds before we get going officially, but hopefully you're settled in and ready to rock and roll. I got this message last time. They were having trouble streaming to Facebook. Okay, whatever. Sorry about that diversion there. Okay, so let me officially kick us off. Today, I am super excited to have with us somebody that I think is going to add a lot of value today. And actually, two people are here visiting, so I should introduce both of them. So, Danielle is with Octane Design Studios, and I'm happy to have you here as a guest today, Danielle.
Thanks for having me.
And I have Priscilla, who is an amazing designer, funner, creator. She makes everything more fun and cuter. And I am thrilled to have you here today, Priscilla. Priscilla does graphic design for me and does my social media stuff too. So and really has been instrumental in getting my authentic self out there. So thank you, Priscilla.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me hop on board today. I'm excited about sitting back. I should get some popcorn. Enjoy the show. Right? I'll just be like this the whole time, if you don't mind.
Nonprofit popcorn talk. Sorry, Priscilla, I was talking over you. I apologize.
Sorry.
That was me. All right. So just by way of introduction, I'm Libby V, nonprofit champion and founder of Libby V and Associates, and we do visioning and strategy work, leadership coaching, development support, and organizational and board development. And through that work, our nonprofit leader clients successfully raise more money and have more impact with the work that they do. But not all nonprofits can afford to hire a consultant. So I created the Nonprofit Coffee Talk as a way to provide great content with amazing guests like Danielle and Priscilla and helpful information to as many nonprofit people as I can. I hope you find it useful today. And I know you will. So let's introduce Danielle officially. So Danielle, I said before, the owner of Octane Design Studios, which is a thriving branding and identity firm nestled in the vibrant heart of the Bluegrass, which I believe is where you two met, correct?
Yes, roughly. Yes.
Roughly, kind of. We'll hear about that. Danielle has been instrumental in creating impactful visual identities for a diverse range of clients. And beyond her role as a creative entrepreneur, Danielle wears many, many hats. She's a passionate podcaster, a devoted wife, and a loving mother of three. Alongside her professional endeavors, she finds joy in indulging in her eclectic interests, including a fondness for rustic Italian cuisine, yum, the comforting allure of chai, yes, I'm with you on that too, the world of cosplay, the captivating adventures of Star Trek's Picard, and the adrenaline rush of live MMA events. So all that makes you a very interesting person. By the way, Danielle, I'm so fascinated by it all. So she has over 14 years in marketing and multimedia agency experience. She excels as a grassroots developer and curator. She's played a pivotal role in branding and launching over 100 local businesses throughout America, with 2/3 of them in Kentucky, which is her home state. She has a passion for nurturing emerging brands, and her commitment to fostering local business growth make her a valuable asset to the entrepreneurial landscape. She has a keen eye for design, coupled with her strategic marketing expertise that ensures that every project she undertakes leaves a lasting impact. So get ready for this engaging conversation with Danielle. I'm super excited. Can't wait for this. I've been excited for weeks. When you first got on my calendar, I've been looking forward to this.
All right.
I know. And we're going to nerd out too, because we're all nerds here in this room in a variety of ways. We nerded out already over Marvel. And so we'll have some other nerdy conversations along here. So anyway, let's get started with the question. So how did you get started in the nonprofit arena? I always want to know that question. How did you happen to get into nonprofits? And that's usually the way it goes, right? You just happen upon it. That's typically it.
Mine was a little bit different. Like I was strategic about wanting to work in nonprofits. So when I started out,
of course you were. This is like the most strategic human being I've met in a long time, by the way, people.
So when I first started doing graphic design overall, my goal was to specifically help nonprofits. And
Nice. I
I kind of
love
walked
that.
in, yes, I walked into this realm of like just wanting to help people and meet people where they are as far as giving them a graphic leg up. That was my original goal. I started from very humble beginnings as a very pregnant already mom of toddler in a 1-bedroom, 500 square foot apartment. That's really where the hunger began. And I'm really proud of that because I've gone a lot more. I've gotten a lot bigger. My family has expanded a lot more since then. But the fact that my mentality was, how am I providing for myself, but also how am I providing for these young people that depend upon me? That was something that already in my hero's journey, if you will, I was kind of setting up that story. So walking into nonprofit spaces, a lot of people understood that assignment already. They understood that story of building something from nothing because many of them were. So I feel like that was my way of kind of giving back to the cosmos in a lot of areas was I want to work with these companies, these startups, these nonprofits that have a passion for a mission, and also encourage that mission in whatever way that I can graphically.
That's beautiful. I love that so, so much. That's a beautiful story. Um, and so, talk about why you still are working in the nonprofit sector and, you know, let's delve in then into marketing for nonprofits. That was I've been in nonprofit world a long time, like a long, long time. I won't age myself, but, um, and marketing wasn't even really a word that we used, when I first started in nonprofits. It's taken a while for us to realize, yes, we do market. We always have marketed. It's
Right.
just been not very targeted and not very, I don't know, packaged up or something. So,
Mhm.
so talk a little bit about what you're currently doing with nonprofits and why you continue to work with them, and then we'll find our way to talk about what should nonprofits be doing as far as marketing.
Sure. So I will say like, one of our longest nonprofiting clients has been with us for over 10 years. And that speaks volumes to me in regards to not only building a trust, understanding there's a level that we can teach each other, but there's also a level where, there's advising, right? We trust each other enough to do things out of a level of uncomfortableness to thrive forward. And so that is something that I feel very confident about. And a shout out to you guys at Carrington Art because that's one of the longest people that we've worked with in regards to wanting to work with nonprofits. And the reason why we continue to still work with nonprofits that have a huge impact on the way that we want to build businesses, the way that we want to see stories thrive. We are storytellers. At the end of the day, we just want to tell a really good story, provide and share a really good story to inspire someone else to do something else. So, really what I'm talking about is around like 6 areas that we kind of focus on. And this is also something that I did some personal research on and around the US Chamber of Commerce that also suggests very similar topics in and around this.
Okay.
So one of those things that I wanted to kind of dive into was the strategy part. So the strategy part is like huge. I think it's really important that as we talk about these 6 areas, that we understand there's a level of understanding already that we have a game plan. We focus on the game plan. We figure out if the game plan is working. And based upon those 3 kind of criterias is what we're really kind of delving into with these 3 specific topics. So for one, segmenting audiences, that's a huge area for me as far as wanting to target a certain group of people. All your people really should not have a similar or the same message unless it's a little bit more niche down. So we talk about that a lot because for a lot of people who have no understanding of marketing when it comes to nonprofits, they just feel like I can just say one phrase and the one phrase will cover
Mhm.
all. And a lot of times it's not. It's not that case at all. Sometimes it needs to be a little bit more toned down or toned in or zoomed in. We talk about, we're all about, nerding out for heroes here, having the x-ray vision. We got to have our goggles on to kind of know when to kind of narrow down into something more specific. So that's one that I truly encourage is segmenting to your audiences. So having an overall group is great. Maybe that's an email marketing group. Maybe that's a Facebook group, but also understanding that you could have specific, maybe hashtags, maybe specific groups that kind of narrow it down a little bit further. That's something that I would
Nice.
encourage.
Yeah, that's great. And for fundraising, I just want to put a pin in the fact that You have to think of this, I think, at a couple levels, right? So it's kind of marketing the organization, segmenting, but then when you're doing fundraising communications with donors or
Yes.
prospects, you have to segment them so that they get specific messages too. It's so important. This is critical. I am so glad you said that right up front, because I say that all the time. You have to segment your donors, right? And
Absolutely.
prospects.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that too. To kind of build on that, as an example, I'll use Carrington's Heart again as that example. We have multiple different ways that we communicate with them. So maybe for our donors, it's more of a tech savvy, direct text message, text to donate, things along those lines, versus sending a Facebook group message to specific parents and kids. This nonprofit
Yes.
specifically is around kids and families affected by congenital heart disease, which is the #1 birth defect in America. So it is one of those situations where I can focus mostly on the kids and the parents, and another segment that focuses on fundraising, right? Another area that focuses on a particular event. They have a gala specifically around building and fundraising. So maybe a segmented section just on that. But that's the way that we would talk to that gala is not the same people that we would talk to with these parents and kids. The messaging is different.
Yes.
So segmentation is huge and a huge asset to people who are building a nonprofit from scratch. So they can start kind of delving into deeper messaging and really accessing the people who would want to, give money, right? We're all about fundraising, raising money, raising those goals that we have for the nonprofit. So segmentation is a huge asset to getting to that goal.
Good. Is there ever a time when it's okay to send out general messages about the organization? Because I think you can also go the other way, right? Where you feel like everything has to be segmented. So could you just talk about that just to put people at
Absolutely.
ease a little?
Yeah, on a larger scale, the newsletter, right? The monthly newsletter that you may or may not be sending out already is huge. I know a lot of people who actually do this on a more digital front, like they'll send it in a text message. Here's top 5 things you need to know. And every month, top 5 things, those are the things that come out overall about the organization. And then eventually you may follow up in a week or 2 with more individualized segmented messages. But overall, these are the 5 things that are happening. I think that's extremely important to remind people that your community is vast. Even if you're just starting small, your community is vast. And then you can kind of niche down exactly what type of messaging you want to focus on from there.
That's great. Thank you. Keep going. You're on a
Okay.
roll. This is great.
Next would be nail your email marketing. Obviously, we just talked about this. Segmentation is huge. But email marketing is also something you can consider in more than one way. Obviously, you can do things like wait lists. You could do things along the lines of building a specific awareness around a certain type of campaign or an event that's coming up. Things along those lines are just basic ways that you can use your email marketing. I highly suggest to keep it simple. Over 75% of emails that have too much clutter, too much stuff, only will barely get opened. They will only literally look at it and close it. And that's not what you want. You want longer open rates. So to kind of put that into perspective, if you're using a lot of collages for your business to showcase all the various things that you have to offer as a nonprofit, maybe it's a service, maybe it's a product, I would more than likely break it down into single images and less of a big collage. So that's easier for people to break down information and associate exactly your words to the intent that you mean to put out. So email marketing is really important. If you're using different types of platforms, there's so many ways that we could talk about this. So platforms are really important. For a lot of nonprofits, they want to combine something that has both a sales capability or a fundraising capability with their email marketing. There's so many different options for that. I really suggest for people to just do their homework. What do you want to do first? Prioritize those tasks first. So if the goal is to just get awareness about a campaign, let's just say congenital heart disease, we want to do a campaign specifically around raising awareness around these facts, then maybe that could be a part of a series that you do on a large base around a month. Specifically, we do this around Heart Month, because February is a really big deal around the heart. And so we'll intentionally do something around Heart Month that would specifically detail out the awareness facts, the statistics, things along those lines. We wouldn't do it as much any other time of the year. It's specifically targeted in this way. So we would have more statistical data. maybe stories behind the scenes, but it's all done in a series of email marketing. Drip content in the area of email marketing is extremely important. I think it's really important that we understand what a drip is. So, for those who don't know, drip content is when you have a sequence of emails that kind of batch themselves out over time. I absolutely love putting together drip content because it's something that we can create at one time, but slowly releases to the rest of the audience over time. So maybe starting with one fact, and then every week every week in the month, just kind of sharing additional information around that fact, or more facts to kind of again encourage the awareness part of congenital heart disease in Kentucky. So that's kind of where I was going with email marketing, is really kind of working on platforms, knowing the platforms you want to use, detailed messaging, the types of things you want to share. Again, I love the 5 things. I think that's really smart. That's becoming more and more popular now. We don't have to have the infinite scroll on email. And if you start the infinite scroll on email, I think that's one way of knowing that maybe I should go a different direction, that maybe it may be time to pivot. So that's one area of email marketing that we can focus on.
That's awesome. So good. This is so helpful. Okay. Yeah, email marketing is critical. And I like the notion of the drip, right? We can't put everything into one email and expect people, for one thing, the open rate isn't enough where people are going to open it in the first place, then read all of it, keep it simple. One message at a time, right?
Yes.
So it's more like, think of it as a drip. So what do you recommend as far as a drip? Like, how many emails is that? Just to give people some idea, like, what would you recommend as a starting point? Or is there a magic number at all?
There is a magic number. It's very similar to Instagram and how they do carousel. So 3 to 5. That would be the goal number that you want to shoot for. Instagram allows in a carousel up to 8, but I'm telling you for email, probably 3 to 5. And I say that because the weeks in a month. So a lot of people who are with you in the beginning of the month, if you want them to kind of stay with you for a little bit, 3 to 5 weeks is a good range for that. A lot of times drips and content will lose their visibility and readability, for anything longer than 5 weeks. So depending on whether you're teaching a series or anything along those lines, like it applies a little bit differently. But for nonprofits, usually 3 to 5 is a good range.
Okay. And so when you say that, does that mean like one a week for 5 weeks, or something similar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
The most that I would do is 2, and that's just because
Okay.
a lot of people who get more than 2 emails from the same person in a week, that kind of is, I don't want to say it's on the edge of spamming, but it definitely is kind of a nag. And so we don't want to nag people to fundraise for us. We don't want to nag people about our brand. We just want to let them know, hey, this is available. This is information that may be useful to you.
Yeah. Good. And you mentioned Instagram. So is it, I added 3 to 5 emails or posts in a drip campaign. Did I get that right? I was making an assumption there. Okay.
You did. That's
With
great.
social media, same. Okay, good. Same idea. Okay,
Yes.
cool. All right. So do you want to talk a little bit more about any communications, or should we go into sort of the notion of branding and rebranding, and how important is your brand as a nonprofit?
Sure. I've got 4 other topics we could talk about just on this alone. Just let me know for time.
Yeah, keep going. This is fantastic. Super
Okay.
helpful.
So again, this was literally information that is compiled from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. So this is something you could Google very easily. So the 4th kind of area that I wanted to talk about the 3rd was the free Google ad grants that you can get as a nonprofit. That's huge. That you can be able to, really optimize your SEO by using these free ad grants that are available through Google. That's a big one. We've definitely used those specifically for different types of campaigns. Maybe it is around awareness of Heart Month. Maybe it's focusing on an event. One of my favorite events is the Wild Hearts Fun Run Superhero 5K 10K that Carrington's Heart puts on every year. It is superhero themed. I designed it from head to toe, and it's so much fun. But one of the great ways that we can get it out and be more visible is using things like the Google ad grant, being able to have some paid advertising dollars behind that so that more people can see the visibility of this event, creating greater awareness around congenital heart disease. So
I'm glad you raised that, Danielle. And people are probably like, is it worth my time and effort to apply for a Google grant? Yes, it is, because it is. Tell them how much money, how much value it is. In
oh my
grant
goodness,
ads.
there's just huge value.
It's huge.
What about, let's just talk about how, in general, the amount of impressions you would get normally if you were putting out a Facebook ad versus a Google ad. Okay, so Facebook is great. It's vast. It's got tons of people. But depending on where you are in the world and depending on how much money you put behind it, you're not able to get as much visibility. You're going to get lost in the shuffle, if you will, in a lot of areas on Facebook versus using Google, which has plenty of other platforms within the Google house for you to kind of have that more visibility for. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about YouTube ads. Think that about Google itself when you're talking about text ads specifically. So I absolutely love the fact that you have more versatility by using Google Ads than you would if you're using any other medium. So just keep that in mind when we're talking about visibility. Like who are we really talking to, and how well are we able to access that visibility between those type of social media platforms and just advertising on Google. So it's a great program. I also want to give them a shout out for the learning, the educational components. A lot of people don't know, the technical aspects of what it takes to put out Google ads and things along those lines. And I love the educational component that Google provides innately within this program, so that not only are you learning about how to do it for yourself, but you're also learning those tools and assets that also are super important in and around the SEO world.
Mm-hmm. It's really worth looking into and applying for. Thank you, Danielle. Appreciate it. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. Obviously last couple ones here, mobile friendly. Always want to be mobile friendly. Anything you do has to be mobile friendly. So whatever you build, whatever you create, it needs to be absolutely mobile friendly. That's one of the biggest strategies that I tell people all the time, is that if it's not mobile, it's not going. It's not going to last very long. So I kind of think of it also in the sense of, if you want a visual check for it, I think about the coyote in Roadrunner. Like, we're both going we're going, but somebody's going faster than the other. And it's kind of like that cat and mouse game a little bit when it comes to wanting to put things out there to make it visible and accessible to people. So mobile friendly, make it work. If it fits on a small screen, then we're going the right direction. So that's my tidbit for that.
Great. Good. Important.
The last one would be to harness user-generated content. Now, this is a little bit tricky. We talk about user-generated content. What does that mean? This is why TikTok thrives the way that it thrives right now. Is because it's using user-generated content to build its own platform, similar to what Instagram does in Reels, similar to what now Facebook does in Reels. All of these short format video content is extremely popular. And so when we're using that to harness, to advocate for whatever nonprofit purpose or mission that you have, is gold mine. It's wonderful to be able to see someone else thrive really well based upon the services and our impact of an organization. So when I see that someone is writing, sending us a video around their kid and how wonderful it was that, Carrington's Heart sent them room decorations for their hospital stays, that they were able to receive food cards so that their child could have an extra bonus treat at the hospital and not eat hospital food. All the little cool things like that, when they send these personal emails or they send these videos that showcase this information about how the impact works, it's extremely viral and extremely accessible for another person to say, you know what? That person's truth is now my truth. And that's why I want to support and get behind this mission. So just keeping those thoughts in mind is a really big way that you can harness in a little bit deeper on some marketing strategies for your nonprofit.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Did you see that light bulb go off above my head when you said that, by the way? Yeah, that is critical. Any tips for like how you get people to do that?
Sure. We sometimes advocate that through a hashtag. So, Carrington Cares, hashtag for the kids, whatever hashtag you want to put around that. It's easier to put that in a hashtag and search for it overall, and you can find it across multiple mediums and focus in just one area. We also encourage people to send us things like, send it to our inbox, email it to us. Things along those lines. The other cool thing that we like to do is really kind of put it inside some of these more one-to-one peer groups, right? So the private groups that we set up for our groups, whatever that may be, some for families, for children, for parents. Hey, it's the first day of school. Send us your child's picture for the first day, and we'll feature it on our feed this week. Things along those lines are simple ways that you can advocate and show that we have a community, and now we want other people to support our community, and this is how you do it.
Yeah, that's huge. If you can get your clients or your parents or loved ones or whatever to do some kind of really authentic, genuine video, send a pic, that's gigantic.
It's
And it
huge.
does take intention. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the hard part too is, we talk about that. How do we go from I help someone to visibly showing that, that step? That does take a level of intention. It is a level of transparency as well. And so making sure that you have your media forms, all of your back end communications ironed out legally so that, you can do the things that you need to do to showcase faces, children, parents, to be able to use even their voice in a way. So, I mean, now with the upcoming technological age of AI, what can we do, to kind of, safeguard our voices, our vocal points around, kids, things along those lines, and protecting them. So there's just so many ways that you can go about that, but having a good intentional plan, making sure it's reviewed by someone who has, some background, some legal background specifically on how you want to use that marketing. Having a standard release form is super important for nonprofits to have as in regards to collecting all of that visual data and then redistributing it at will.
Yeah, that's good input. Okay.
Last
Yeah,
one
one
is
more.
Yep, last one. Try. I would encourage you to do peer-to-peer fundraising. Now, this is something that's very popular. You see Facebook do this all the time. With their donate. It's your birthday. Donate here. Things along those lines. But peer-to-peer fundraising can also look a little bit different as we talk about giving. For example, Carrington's Heart has a big giant toy closet. People can donate to that toy closet so that these kids at the end of aggressive or harder appointments, they're able to get a token of their bravery, or a token of you made it at the end. So a gift or a prize at the end, which I think is incredibly important because a lot of these kids, they have invasive heart procedures done on a regular basis. So for peer-to-peer fundraising, someone could just gift a toy. Hi, this is a snapshot of me giving a bear or donating a couple of toys that I was in the grocery store and I just picked up. Here's me donating a snapshot of Amazon gift card certificates because I want to give back to this organization in whatever way that I could. This is the smile of a child. That peer-to-peer fundraising, it can be imagery, it could be a lot of different things, but showcasing that you're giving is super important. I think that's what helps churn more of that peer-to-peer fundraising. The other part of that, obviously, in that fundraising part is like the camaraderie, the team, that kind of feel. For the Wild Hearts Fun Run, Superhero 5K, 10K, they don't play. It is definitely aggressive. I'm giving 10 today. I'm making sure that my team has their official team T-shirts, things along those lines, to rally around the values of what makes this group so special. So peer-to-peer fundraising is a huge asset and the last of the 6 steps for marketing strategies for a nonprofit.
This was fantastic. And just to say too that, right, that's how I feel too. Like, yes, all hail the queen. A lot of the fundraising software that you can get is inexpensive, and they have those components where you can do team fundraising. They make it really easy where people can log in and start their team online. So just to put that out there. So Danielle, what opportunities do you have coming up? Because I know you offer, I just learned before we got on here that you offer a lot of really accessible education and help that is very accessible because the price is good for nonprofits and things like that. So, where's the opportunity to get in on that?
Well, we're getting ready to launch Q1 Essentials. And Priscilla can talk more on this than I can because she's kind of been on the more receiving end of that, like being in the classes and things. But this is a 3-month long kind of intensive cohort, if you will, that's happening specifically November through January of 2024. We just recently moved it. We made a big announcement about that. Originally, it was in the first 3 months of the new year. Now it's right at the very end of the turning year. And I really love the fact that this is kind of a choose your adventure themed session that we're going to be doing. So you decide the realm that you want to play, whether it be design, web, podcasting, brand strategy, social media. You pick your designed your place that you want to play, and then you'll get a curated list of kind of broken down 15-minute or less mini sessions on various topics in and around that area. And we really intentionally made these bite sized so that it's easier on the price. We know this is kind of a recession-y time. It's really hard for these brand new brands, brand new nonprofits, and startup entrepreneurs to really find the money to invest on that level. We just kind of took that element off the table and said there's no limit on the access of education that we can provide to create the generational wealth that we want to see in the world in and around marketing.
I want to jump in and talk about this because I was in Q1, I guess last year, right? Mm-hmm. It was so helpful. I mean, I loved being able to go back and look at the things. And, sometimes we talk about like, you don't want to ask the questions in class because you feel like the dummy, right? No, I mean, this dummy felt like a smarty pants, right? And I loved, like, they had, we've got a combination of live and then also recorded. And It was so great to be able to go back. And I love that it was short because it's like, we got too much stuff to do. This brain can only fit in. I got this much space left. And then Libby takes all this, right? So I only have so much space that I can use to fill up. And it is interesting, like Danielle was saying, is I went in on the one end, and this time I'm actually going in Q1. I'm helping out. I'm doing one of these courses, whatever the surprise is going to be.
Yeah.
No, and that's about content and stuff. But going in there, knowing that there are specific areas that you're like, I may not be that great in such and such, and you're not going to become a full expert, but you're going to have an understanding enough for you to get through, which I think is awesome, which I didn't really think of even before, Danielle, for this is a great opportunity for nonprofits, because especially with the budget and all.
Exactly.
And actually, I wanted to come in and jump in off of that, if I could, and ask a question to you, because, like you and I are kind of in the same realm, and Libby and I are in the realm.
Yeah.
Just knowing that, coming in from kind of the different sides and stuff, right? A lot of nonprofits, they'll come to creatives like us, and they may not be able to. A lot of them can't afford, and I guess I'm wondering, what, in your opinion, do you think is the, let's say they have such a small budget, where should they spend it more, like in the branding kind of sense, or would they do it in, maybe finding somebody that could do strategy for them? I know a lot of people, they can have folks that will donate their time, and that's great because, they have tools like Canva, whatever. But I'm just trying to think of like best bang for, for the buck, if they are going to use their money, because, you want them to use it wisely. Where do you think that they should kind of start out? Like, let's say, versus the people that are kind of starting out, and then some of them that are maybe still startup growing, but they're like, they just are not getting, their foot.
Absolutely. That is a great question. I'm so glad you asked that. Smarty pants. I love it.
That's from Q1.
It's got to be the game plan. Like for me, when I think about, we use the form of gaming. The reason why we're gamified is because we believe in the strategy of play, and we can't play unless we have a strong playbook. We can't move forward if we don't know where we're going. So it's really important for me to like emphasize the strategy part. So I would tell, a nonprofit, I would rather you spend your hard dollars on someone who is going to give you a roadmap to success versus dumping you in a playground and saying, these are the graphics that could work. Because we can't have pretty without function. And so it's really important that we have to have functional steps so that we know where to go once we get the pretty graphics. Say, for instance, we just dived in, to graphic design. Yes, I can design you something that's beautiful, it's stunning, but
it has nowhere to go.
But it has nowhere to go. Exactly. Yeah. So strategy is where I would tell them, like, put all your dollars in strategy.
Well, where do you think I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just was going to say, I always think of strategy as like, it has to be additive, right? It means that everything you're doing is adding up to getting you somewhere, right? It's like you're on this path. I guess that's a better metaphor. You're on this path and you want to get to there, but you're here. So that you have these milestones along the way. And if you don't have that strategy, you don't know if it's adding up to anything or getting you anywhere.
Sorry. Well, a quote I want to leave you with that is, life is more like Tetris and less like Mario. And I think that explains a lot of what you're saying by adding those pieces. It is not about rushing to get to the flag, to get to the princess, to get to the end. It's about the intentional blocks and the way that you're moving these elements of life to get to the next level. And so that's what I tell people all the time when they're like, is there a final something that you want to share? I'm like, it's always about the gamified lesson, the things that you learn through gaming, which is, it's not about rushing to the end. It's about strategically building.
I kind of think about food too. Like you said, gaming, and I also gaming. But I was thinking it's almost like, you have all these ingredients, but it's like, what are you going to cook? Right? Like you can cook 15 different types of chilies and stuff like that. You have the ingredients, but if you don't know how you're going to get to the chili to make it, I saw chili because you have chilling behind you. So that made me, that's my thinking process.
Sabrina,
move over here. Let me see what else can inspire me.
Right.
Got it. No, but I think that it's, I was also looking here off to the side because there are some notes that people are saying in LinkedIn. Okay, so you got a hand clap by Amanda, and Courtney was saying, will you be touching on social media marketing, which I think we can do a little bit. And then Anne also said that it was incredibly helpful.
Yay.
Which it is. I mean, you're only 36 minutes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, amazing. Q1 essentials, right? No, I mean, I want to say though, but Danielle is wonderful. I was so excited that she was coming on here, just because Danielle and I, we've been friends for years and we have yet to meet in person.
Yes. This is what I meant by the Kentucky reference earlier, right? Like you said, we met through Kentucky. I'm like, sort of.
Because we went through somebody, somebody. But because I started off with Danielle the first time I met her I was a guest on More Than Graphics, and then forward ahead, how many years later, and I'm the bonus co-host on this season.
She's a co-host.
And also I'm part of Team Octane, and it's like I fully support Danielle over the years and everything that she's done, and it's wonderful because as a she's probably, I would say, the closest design colleague that I have. I call her my design bestie. And it's wonderful just because I'm always learning something new from her, and no matter what capacity it is. And she's a wonderful person to have. And I love the fact that, she has that nonprofit, knowledge background, because that's kind of when I started out too. Mm-hmm. I wanted to help all the nonprofits, and it's wonderful having her on here. And I know. I'm not going to cry.
I'm not going to cry.
Barbara Wawa, you're not going to make me cry.
Well, the same.
I'm excited, though. I'm excited about this, seeing you guys like that together, because I know that there's so much more, and I just see like the force is strong.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm already thinking about stuff that we can put together, the three of us. I'm excited. I don't know if you have the bandwidth for it, but I'm like, I just want to be around you. I just want to be part of this community and
do what I do.
Figure out how we can help each other more and all those things and help nonprofits. I love it. It's beautiful.
The power of three.
Thanks for putting us together, Priscilla.
Matchmaker.
Yes.
This is great. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, both of you. And Priscilla, thanks for asking that great question and adding on those wonderful comments. And Danielle, this was so helpful, incredibly helpful. Just the laying out. I love when guests are like, I've got these many things and here you go. This is what you need to do for strategy. Love it. And I love how strategic you are too. Strategy is everything. Strategy is
Absolutely.
everything.
Thank you all so much. I love being able to have the energy in this room, the energy in this space. I just feel it. I'm so thankful that we got to have this combo today.
Yeah, thank you. Well, have a great day, and I know we'll connect again soon. And count me in for that trip to Kentucky. Whenever, okay, we'll just go down and make a long weekend or something. Have a little mini vacation. Yeah,
the place where the bourbon and the women roam free. I mean,
count me in.
Yeah. That's us
like
all the way.
Place.
Yeah.
All right. Take care. Mwah.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
See yous.